So lately, I've been reading up on a lot of things talking about egg prices.
Egg prices jumping nearly 47% compared to just over a year ago.
The department reporting that egg prices are up about 60%.
And reading all the different articles and seeing and hearing what people say they're paying per dozen. So I decided to walk into the store to see for myself because I've been hearing about this for a while, but I couldn't believe the prices that some people were paying for their eggs per dozen. And after walking in there and seeing those prices myself, let's just say it was eye-opening, but also very frustrating because this is happening because of two main reasons, and the main reason can get pretty frustrating when you hear all the facts about it. The very first reason that's going on with these egg prices, and the one that everyone's been hearing for the last few years, is the word inflation.
Inflation hit a new 40-year record last month.
Inflation hitting its highest level in, get this, 41 years.
Prices in the U.S. are climbing at their fastest rate in 40 years.
Of course, that's going to affect the price of anything that you're used to buying because they got to raise the prices of everything. The supply chain and all that stuff has not been going well. But then that leads me to the number one reason why these prices are the way they are. On surface, when you first hear it, and if you look up things about it, you won't think it's that bad. But when you really start looking into it and breaking it down, I feel like it should frustrate a lot more people than it is. Alright, so a lot of you may not have heard this term before until maybe this past few weeks since the articles have just been going all over the place lately with them. And it's a flu, and it's called the avian flu.
Contagious avian flu is sweeping through wild bird populations.
CDC, the U.S. now experiencing its worst bird flu outbreak in nearly a decade.
Worst bird flu outbreak in years.
100 million harmed birds died from infection or were culled.
And if you haven't heard about this, it's also called the bird flu and might have a few other names that I'm not that sure of at this moment. And what it's been doing is it's infecting things like the animals that I have right here behind me, these chickens. When these birds, like a chicken, are catching it, they're not having a very high mortality rate, so they are dying. The more chickens that die, obviously that's less eggs that are being produced, which would cause your prices to increase. That I understand. That makes a lot of sense. But when you start looking up these articles and hearing what's been going on with these birds, I feel like it's starting to just get a little more frustrating to me. You see what they're doing, and it's taken to example my 15 chickens that we have for our flock. If one chicken is to catch the avian flu, or if just one of them is suspected to have it, instead of isolating the one chicken who has it and putting them away from the rest of the flock, because they've already come in contact with any of the other chickens, they're just wiping out entire flocks. And when you think of it, for 15 chickens and our chickens, not a big deal. But when you start hearing these hatcheries that it's happening to, and these chicken farms that it's happening to, you're talking about thousands and thousands of chickens that are being culled because one chicken, and maybe not even exactly having it, but possibly having it, and wiping out entire flocks because of it. Could you imagine if that's what we said that we were gonna do with us? Especially while we were just dealing with this big sickness that's been going around for the last few years. If one person caught it, everyone who was in that household, they just go, oh, sorry, like you're not gonna make it anyways, let's get rid of everyone. I mean, that's crazy talk. We would never do that with us. And for some reason with these birds, they're not giving a chance for any of these other birds. This is causing big businesses, big farmers, little farmers even, and it's affecting them to be able to not make a living and do what they need to do because possibly one chicken has caught this sickness. Since this has been happening to so many chickens, I've read a few reports about the certain amount of millions of chickens that have been killed just this year because of the avian flu. And this isn't because all those chickens had it, this is just because all those chickens possibly came in contact with it. I think the one article that I read said up to 57 million have been killed this year. And hearing those numbers, it makes sense to why you'll start reading all these things that'll say that eggs are the biggest percentage rise in price of any other grocery item from this past year. I'm sure the price of chicken itself is gonna go up because if chickens aren't around, I mean, supply and demand, that's just gonna increase the price even more. And of course, like I said, that it would make sense that you don't have it, these chickens are sick, but they're not giving any of these flocks even a chance to try to separate like a certain amount of them even. It's just that one chicken in this flock, no matter how close they might all be in contact with, they are just wiping out flocks across the country. And it is just crazy and sad to kind of hear when you think about it. So after hearing all this information and being frustrated about how some of it's going about and why it's causing a lot of people to have such a hard time just affording food for their family weekly now, it tried to make me think, what is the solution? And what can we do as families, as communities, as states, as a country to help fix this problem? And I think it boils down to supporting local. Make sure that you go out there. There's farmers out there. There's people like us on the side of the road that could be selling eggs that are gonna be the same price, if not cheaper, than these eggs that you're finding at the store right now, and they are 100% gonna be healthier for you. Our chickens have this free range area they're able to roam around in. If you go to buy the eggs that you've been buying at the store for years and years and years, they are just produced from these big factories of these chickens that get artificial light, that say they get free range or cage free. And if you look into what those terms really mean and break down what cage-free means, what's free range mean to the USDA, it doesn't mean much. These chickens are not getting what they actually need to thrive and survive and live a super healthy life. And the second thing you can do, and it might not be for everybody, but it would be to start getting chickens and start owning chickens yourself. I know there's some of you guys that live in areas that might not allow chickens. A lot of community restrictions around chickens says like maybe you can have up to 4 hens. And I'm telling you, 4 hens in a nice little coop does not take up a lot of area. It does not smell as bad as what they're gonna say. And the maintenance of chickens is very easy. All you have to do is clean up their coop maybe once a month. Give them fresh food and water daily, and that's about it. You'll have fresh eggs produced daily by your chickens. You can have fertilizer for any of you guys that garden, because you can use the chicken manure to actually help spread it in your garden, and that's gonna help you plant anything or grow anything that you wanna use. And I was listening to a podcast, and Joel Salatin, who any of you guys may not know, and if you don't, look him up because he is just amazing and just a wealth of knowledge in all these kind of topics. But he said if there was just a few thousand people who started owning about 3 chickens, it could help reduce the waste that this world produces, because all your food scraps and things normally that you were gonna throw away and just put right into the garbage, you can just give right back to your chickens. Chickens basically eat everything, and you can just throw it and give it right back to them, and that would help all these landfills have so much less waste. These are things that we can do to help give back to this beautiful world that we live on. So I don't make videos like this very often, but I feel like this topic hit very close to home. And I feel like if I have this platform, there are some things I would like to use my voice for. I feel like right now, just in the world in general, we are at such a pivotal time that these things keep happening that we have a chance to kind of shift the momentum and make a big difference. And one of those differences, I'm telling you, would be more people owning chickens and help support local and try to show all these big factories and companies that own so many things that we can help support each other, and we don't have to be so reliant on egg prices that they're gonna raise to $6, $7, $8 a dozen. The more that we try to fix those solutions and fix those problems, and that we don't need to just be accepting of these things, the more control that we can have and more voice that we have. So I hope that you guys didn't mind listening to my little rant that I had today. I just had to say it. I've just seen too many articles, too many people talking to me at work saying, oh, like how are your chickens doing with the flu? What's going on? Do you see these egg prices? And it was just something I feel like I had to get out there and say. So thank you guys for listening as always. Have a great day and a better tomorrow. And maybe go out and go buy some chickens this year. See you later.